everybody! It's episode 44 of Radio Friends. And this week we're going to be looking at what might be my album of the year, in all likelihood, the new effort from Sokira Peruna, which I'm sure I butchered, but it translates to Perun's axe. Perun, of course, being the Slavic god of thunder, lightning, celestial silver, that kind of shit. So these guys, at least on this album, are playing some kind of melodic death metal type stuff with quite a bit of added symphonic textures to it. We got the guy from Nocturnal Mortem that plays the dulcimer acting as a guest musician with some very soulful vocals and fist-pumping riffs. But I sort of played a prank on you guys because, well, that is a track off of the new Sokira Peruna album. It is not, in fact, a song originally written by them. Instead, it's a cover of White's Load, who were kind of the original Ukrainian RAC, Rock Against the Communism type band way back in the 90s and the early 2000s, and they actually influenced the construction of this album quite a bit, if you ask me. In fact, there was a member of White's Load that was in Sokira Peruna at one time, but that's neither here nor there. So White's Load, what the hell is a White's Load? Well, I'm guessing it's sort of a garbled, Slavicized translation of that whole white man's burden concept. But to give you an example of how this White's Load band influenced the new Sokira Peruna stuff, let's listen to an old White's Load song and then compare it to a newer Sokira Peruna song. Hey, I had a White's Load for him last night, if you know what I mean. Get the fuck out of my head! Ah! Check out those groove riffs. So, very heavy, very groovy stuff. Kind of Sabbathy, I guess? And the vocals are also pretty similar to Sokira Peruna. Hopefully this gives you a basic idea of what White's Load sounds like. Very much a band worth checking out. So compare that song to this Sokira Peruna song, which sort of takes that template and expands upon it. So a very similar style of riffing, kind of simple and groove-based, and then expanding into melodic counterpoints on that groove. But with that added benefit of the Nocturnal Mortem-esque keyboards, we get something new and exciting. I really like the keyboards on this album, I can't understate that. But then watch the change up once we get out of the groove section here. They're going to take that groove riff and do something interesting with it. Turn it into straight up thrash metal, reminiscent of fellow Ukrainians, Dubbuk, who I covered a few episodes ago. Maybe it was like 10. I can't even remember anymore, guys. But there's a pretty clear line of progression from White's Load to Sokira Peruna. Interestingly enough, both of those bands started around the same time, but Sokira Peruna started out a lot more punk influenced, and then on this album they specifically got very metal sounding. They even took older songs that they already wrote and metaled them up. You know, they meddled with them a bit. Or whatever. But here, listen to an older Sokira Peruna song from their punk period, and then we'll compare it to a new reinterpretation of it. So, pretty lo-fi punk shit here. Obviously they're doing that little trick where you come in super lo-fi and then get a bit more hi-fi when the main riff kicks in. Right around now. But yes, very heavy punk type shit going on here. Could almost be a Misfits riff if they didn't have that kind of oi punkish drumming. And the vocals are a lot cleaner than they are in nowadays Sokira Peruna, nowadays Perun's Axe. So that was called I Am the Son of Ukraine. Let's listen to the 2018 version of that song for contrast. Check out that bass sound. Very sexy. A little subtly melodic lead guitar intro into what has basically become a melodic death metal riff. It's built around the same foundation, but they've added a lot to it. I used this song as an outro on a prior episode of this program because I like it a lot. So you can see the secret weapon in the Sokira Peruna arsenal is a lot of melodic death metal. You can hear bits of old In Flames, old Amon Amarth, basically all of the good 90s melodic death metal bands before they sold the fuck out. They've been reborn and turned into Nazi stuff with lots of folk influence. I like it. For instance, check out this Amon Amarth riff. See how they're kind of bouncing off the root note and sort of a bar chord thing? That's kind of the stereotypical Amon Amarth riffing style. It was the main innovation that they brought to death metal back in the late 90s. Now, compare that riffing style to the sort of thing you hear on the Sokira Peruna song From Varangian Forests. They've taken that Amon Amarth kind of riffing style and updated it with their own peculiar sense of melody. And of course, the symphonic components. Very headbangable stuff. Like I said, very good gym band. Speaking of gym bands, in the liner notes of this album, there's actually a picture of one of the guys in the band bench pressing like a fuck ton of like machine gun parts. Made me laugh a little. It's more of those groove riffs courtesy of White Road, updated for the new age. So I just kind of stumbled onto these guys by accident where I was trolling around Metal Archives looking through different Ukrainian bands. And I found these guys whose name I'd come across before. I went over to their artist page and it said the genre was something like groove/heavy metal. And I was like, that can't be right because Metal Archives is really shitty when it comes to classifying Slavic bands. So I went and looked them up. I was expecting something more like Dub Book, where people like to call it groove metal even though it's really thrash metal. Instead, I was pleasantly surprised. Not that there's anything wrong with Dub Buck, of course, they're one of my favorite bands, but I was pleasantly surprised to find out they were playing this kind of melodic death metal sort of thing, you know, in the year 2018. Didn't see that coming. Ended up going over to the label website, Svastone, and I was going to order this album because I liked it so much off of the samples. But, you know, I saw that, oh shit, the label's in the Ukraine. They don't do PayPal over there. There's something going on with that. So I ended up, like, emailing the guy that owned the label, and he gave me a PayPal address to send the money to, and I did. And then he said, you know, like, thanks, Borther14, and I gave him an 88. You know, a week later, I get, like, the tracking number. Actually, I think it was less than that. It got here pretty fucking fast. Got here, very nice packaging. It's one of those digibook things, kind of like the new Nocturnal Mortem albums have been getting. So it's like a digipack that opens up like a book with, like, very nice paper pages. English translations, all that kind of thing. So Svastone, good company. I will vouch for them, and I will definitely vouch for this band, who you should absolutely check out. They're probably my favorite thing that's going to come out this year. I'm making that prediction right now. I predicted that! Well, that about does it for RFI this week. I managed to really fangirl out over this band, and yet I kept it pretty succinct, so hopefully that Tommy character will stop being so mean to me all the time. Until next week.